Thanks for joining for another interview at the Mutual Access Club. I am Wilson Raposo Olenek, and I am honored to introduce Sofia Villacreses, a civil engineer turned blockchain strategist. Sofia describes herself as a queer immigrant woman of color with an Ivy League degree, now working in a Fortune 500 company. And in this video, we learn about her journey as a civil engineer, being part of multiple underrepresented groups, the importance of building meaningful relationships, and how personal investments led her to pursue a career in the Web3 industry. I hope that you not only enjoy learning about Sofia's story, but also feel empowered to embrace your most authentic self in every environment that you're in, including engineering. I am sure you'll enjoy this interview as much as I did, so let's jump into it. Here is Sofia Villacreses. All right, Sofia, thank you for joining the Mutual Access Club. I'm really excited that you're here, and I was really looking forward to our interview because I have heard a lot of great news about you, and I wanted to hear about your experience. So how about you get us started, give us a quick intro about your story, your background, career, and where you are now professionally.
Sure. I'm really happy to see you again, Wilson. It's been way too long. I'm glad that we're getting a chance to really catch up here.
Yes.
And for the viewers, I guess this is something that I coined in my interview that I thought really described me well. And it also summarizes my story a little bit. So I'm a queer immigrant woman of color with an Ivy League degree that is now working in a Fortune 100 company. So there's a lot to unpack there, but I'm sure you have questions that you can just follow up on it. So I'm gonna let you take the lead.
Oh, no, yeah, I love it. It's a queer immigrant, woman of color that has an Ivy League degree and is now working on a Fortune 500 company. Wow. Okay, that's all I to unpack. Yes.
Yeah.
So obviously some of those things are personal. I want to keep it more professional, but I would love to hear your experience about, what it has been coming. Perhaps I would think that, studying the Ivy League as a queer woman of person of color, immigrant as well, uh, would have been a decent experience because I like to think that Cornell was inclusive back in school. But I'm curious about the workforce. So you were previously working in a engineering company for civil engineering. Now you're working in a Fortune 500 company doing something completely different. How has been your experience as a professional when when you're part of those underrepresented groups?
So I feel like Cornell did a good job at preparing me to I got the initial shock out of my system by going to Cornell, and it's a very different. I don't know how to say it other than ecosystem from what I grew up in, because Cornell and generally Ivy League schools, where there is representation for people like me, it's still predominantly white, and on a different, as far as let's say economical status, it's very different. So I got that out of my system the first month that I was there, and then when I went into a corporate America basically to work, it was basically the same thing. And I was like, okay, I know how to handle this. um I will say that I got lucky with my first company that I worked in, because even though it was, let's say, predominantly white, they were very welcoming and very specifically to my division, right? They were very welcoming, very understanding, very chill. I never felt like I was
Left
like
out or
left
anything
out.
like that.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I mean, there was definitely maybe we have different interests, and I think that's the fun part, to try
Hmm.
to learn more about each other, specifically because within my community, within my circle of friends, it was mostly other people of color. But then when you go into corporate America, you have to learn how to make connections. And when I may say make connections, I mean genuine connections, because that's what really matters. As you move forward in any career, you have to make genuine connections, like showing that you care about people and excited to meet new people. So, but it's a little bit of a challenge at first, because you're like, wow, you are just so different from me. I need to find some sort of common ground, um, thankfully, like I feel like my attitude, my like personality has always been very outgoing. And I genuinely want to understand and meet new people. So that always helped. There was always like sorry about that. There was
Yeah,
always like hiccups here and there, but I would say on that part it was okay. It was maybe challenging to find neutral ground, but like it was otherwise fine. As far as like the workload though, it was like at least for the company that I was in, I can't speak for everyone else, but like it was very much like swim, bitch swim. Um and that was also okay by me because throughout my entire like upbringing, I've always just been forced to be like swim, like being like getting into an Ivy League degree school already, sorry. It's especially from like my background, like an immigrant, first gen. You just really see the difference into how these kids are prepared to excel in the school system that they always knew they were going to be going there. They understand the type of work pressure that there is. So I didn't. I had to like adapt really quickly. So throughout my life, I've always had like to learn how to adapt really fast to like a new situation because the stakes were always so much more higher for me. Like there was never like a safety net where I could comfortably say that like if I could fall back on, I'll be like, okay, like sure my family won't let me just like starve and die, but my family didn't necessarily have the means to, let's say, catch a really hard fall. And
yeah.
that applies to many aspects of life. So when I was just kind of thrown into projects in my first company, because they were great, but they could do with a little bit more mentorship for new
Yeah. No, and it's you bring a really great point because there's a lot of initiative when it comes to diversity and inclusion of very underrepresented groups. It could be pretty much anything that is underrepresented in the industry, and it's great that they've taken the initiative to actually give the opportunity to those people. But at the same time, it has to be brought up to the attention that uh, being part of an underrepresented group means that you don't have the same resources or that you don't are as prepared as anybody else. And I felt that as well in Cornell, where I was given the opportunity to go to Cornell. It was great. I was really excited. It's a door opener for me and my family. But I struggled like hell. I had a language barrier. I had to quickly adapt to a new environment, a new environment of people that look different from me, that have a lot more means than me. Because in school, I not only had to, worry about my grades, I had to worry about my mental health, I had to worry about my food, I had to work, all these things. And, if you have some parental support, for instance, that could give you a hand in the case you need it, that makes things easier. But I didn't have that. I'm sure that you didn't have that. So it's, it's interesting. And even going to the workforce, when you get to work on projects and everything, once we're given the opportunity, we really do need that mentorship and to get things done because even though we went to an Ivy League school, we still lack some foundation on what it takes to get things done because we're not used to it. We don't have somebody to tell us how to do things in our homes. Perhaps our parents. We don't. My mom has a GED degree, so she never went to school or never has gotten a job as a professional. So it's good that you're bringing this up. So I truly appreciate that you were totally honest about that experience.
yeah.
But I totally feel on that and on finding connections with people. I think that's very very important because you're a really good friend of mine, and it was since from the beginning, right? It's always investing in our relationship. Me
Yeah.
asking about you, you asking about me, but even in the office where we used to work, previous
Yeah.
company, we're very diverse. But
Hmm.
there is still something. There's always something that will spark a conversation and find some point of common in between us, either between our cultures, between the things that we do, between the things
Yeah.
that we watch. And no, that's what make a really meaningful relationship. But I'm curious though, you were a civil engineer, you study civil engineering, you work as a civil engineer for 2 3 years, but now
Mhm.
you're doing something totally different. So before we go into why that is that totally different thing you're doing now, how
Yeah.
how was your experience as a civil engineer?
I started out wanting to be an engineer in general because I wanted to do something for the environment. And as I progressed through my career, I think I first thought about like environmental engineer and I realized I could not stand chemistry. I was like, okay, the next best thing is probably civil engineering. And I was lucky enough to, at first, I don't know if it's because I'm a Pisces, I don't know, astrology people. But I'm a water baby. I love the beaches. I love the bodies of water. I have a scuba diving certification. Like I love the water, and so I ended up being a coastal engineer for a bit. And like especially in New York City, there's so much waterfront in New York, and it was so cool to like be like, wow, like I understand these things. I know what's underneath here. I know why this exists. It felt very like it felt very like once you finally got to the end goal of your project, you could see like, wow, I built that, or like I took a part in that. So that part was really cool. It is something that I think that specifically to coastal engineering, what I did, which was a lot of like resiliency work or shoreline like improvement work, is really relevant just because of how climate is changing. And it helped me understand a lot of like the risks that come as climate change comes, and just helped me be more aware, and it felt like I was doing something good. So that was a good part. The part that I didn't necessarily like enjoy too much is just it's a really slow moving field. I don't know if it's because it's one of the earlier types of engineering, and so maybe they're a little bit slower to change and adapt to like let's say new technology or whatever like changes occur within society. Like I remember there was this one time that like I think they changed something in the steel code manual or something. It was like mass outrage throughout like the community of engineering, and I was like, well, it's new research, like it's change, and so it's a little bit slow. I feel like I it didn't really fit with my personality because I'm a very like as a person in general, I'm a like I guess a trailblazing like individual. Like I said, I overcame so many barriers to like get to where I was in here. So like I'm used to change that goes really quickly, and to a degree, I would just get bored. Honestly, like,
Mhm.
the same shit every day.
Yeah. No,
Um,
I totally understand that. And on the research part, like it takes like 6 to 10 years to get something on the steel code, for instance. And no, yeah, it definitely takes time for in general when it comes to actual engineering stuff changing. Yeah, it definitely takes time. But I can also feel that in the office environment, getting things done. It's just, it requires a lot of coordination to get things done, design, calculations, drafting, getting something on the drawing set, and whatnot. It definitely takes a lot of time, but I feel you on that. Like, there's nothing wrong with that. It's just your personality. I think my personality is a little bit like that too. Coming from my previous company to the company I'm at now, I answer emails within minutes they arrive in my mailbox. To me, like still to this day, it blows my mind because it's part of my job. Like somebody calls me, I know nothing about that person, and I take that call within seconds. You understand? Like things move a lot faster where I'm at right now, and I can see how that makes a difference with my personality because I like that job better. And
mhm,
I'm exposed to more people and everything. But it's nothing wrong with my previous job in that regards. It's just,
yeah.
this job that I have fits more my personality in terms of uh, you know, doing things, thinking on my feet, doing things really quick, getting answers to people, helping people as much as I can. And I'm pretty sure that that's probably perhaps what you were, that what motivated you to change to switch to a new career. But I'll let you describe. So, what motivated you to change to go from civil engineering to now working in blockchain technology?
So during the pandemic, you know, a lot of people had their own things that they wanted to get away from. They were, especially in New York, you're in a very cramped space. You know, you can't go out. You have to find something to do. And my job, like I mentioned, for all the things before, was already, I was feeling kind of stagnant. And at the time, I think 2019 or something, the stock market, all the markets really started like really doing good. There was a lot of activity in the markets, and you know, I thankfully I had a cousin who is very knowledgeable in that, and he just started a chat between me, him, and a couple of his friends, where like they we just talked like trading. I had zero clue in what trading was, like no idea, and he was like, and I was like, dude, like how do I do this? And he was like, Google it, and Investopedia is your best friend. And I was like, perfect, got it. Yes, you know, thanks. um,
Google
yeah. And then I got the stimulus check money, and I feel like a lot of people might have done this. And, you know, I thankfully was still employed because, you know, engineering served its purpose, you know? Like when I went into a job as an engineer, I was like, if anything happens, I know that I will be employed.
You'll be the
Lo
last ones to go.
Yeah, I swear to God. Literally a year after I got the job, the pandemic happened. And I was like, oh my God, it's like I predicted this. I must be like
Yeah.
some sort of like genius or something. So like, you know, I was employed. I just, you know, like I put some of it away and then I was like, okay, like I'm gonna learn this thing. I'm gonna learn how to trade. So I actually started with just trading stocks. And when I mean trading, I mean like I threw money in an account that I opened because I heard that I use TD Ameritrade because they have a really cool platform called Think or Swim, and like I was just
Hmm.
like, wow, they have all of these like machines and like not some machines, like indicators and like so many features, and I'm just gonna throw it in there. You know, I didn't know anything about it. I didn't know about like it was just a like regular brokerage account. I could have done like something that would be more smart, like a Roth IRA or whatever. But I was like, hey, I'm gonna do stocks now. You know, that was my approach to it, and I did some research prior to that, but I think I'm the type of person that if I just don't like yeet it or YOLO it, I'm just not gonna do it. So when I just put my own money down, I was like, okay, we're gonna do this. Everything that you learn, you better do now, or you're gonna
Yeah.
lose your money. Like,
Yeah. Yeah.
so not the most. I don't know that it was the best approach that people should take because I did have the background knowledge in it because I just did. I went on a loophole of research and I was like, you just have to do it.
Yeah.
I don't know that I would say it's the best approach to it, but it was the way that I took. People can figure out
Find
their
their
own.
way. Yeah.
Yeah,
Hmm.
I'm not advocating for this at all, but I did it. And when I just finally did it, I was like, okay, we're learning. We're learning a lot. And then I've just found some things about like regular like stock markets that I was like, damn, this is kind of like really restrictive in a way. Like for example, on a regular brokerage account below like a certain like money limit, you can only do certain amount of trades per day, and you can't do
Uh,
any like small like you know unless like you know typically like the stocks that I would look into are like maybe $20 or something per share.
mhm.
So like let's say you have $500, that's like nothing. You know
Yeah.
you can make a lot of money because it's like a lot of money up front to get into like a position, and then the stock market moves are like not that exponential. They're kind of like as compared to crypto, for example.
Hmm.
They're like a 6% gain per year is like, man, we did it. So it's like you're not going places super far. That I'm not saying that there's not useful. I'm just saying that I was like, this is, you know, I mean, this is not what I thought it would be. Is kind of like a lot. It just felt like a lot of money to put up front and for not enough return, which is to say that I guess I wanted something riskier. So my risk appetite was like, I want more. If I'm going to put this much money in, I want like not just, you know, whatever returns. And then at the time, Bitcoin, everyone's like eyes turned to Bitcoin because it shot up. It just went exponential, and we're like, "Wow, missed the train!"
Yeah.
And obviously, like I want some of that too. Like I want money. And like I actually, my the same cousin that I mentioned, his name is Juan. Juan
Yeah.
was like into like the cryptocurrency thing way back in 2017. So I already knew some of it about it. Like I bought some Ethereum back in 2017 because he was like, "Listen, looks like it's gonna go somewhere. I'm not telling you to do it, but I'm not telling you not to do it. I'm just telling you, you know."
Just FYI.
SYI, yeah, yeah. He didn't give me an in-depth explanation. He was just like, just know that this is a thing that could be really big. So I already
Yeah.
knew I knew of it, but I didn't know a lot about it. But I was like, yo, there might be something happening here.
Hmm.
So the thing that attracted me to cryptocurrency initially and blockchain
Hmm.
um, was greed. I'm not gonna lie that everyone likes to make money, especially in the time with the pandemic when everything was so uncertain and the world looked like it was ending. I was like, I want some of that. Um, but the more I found out about it, the more that I realized that it was kind of like a movement, like a next wave thing. Like a lot of people use the term Web3 now, and I think that's what really kept me there. Like I could see a lot of potential here to the point that I was like, it didn't happen immediately. My transition from engineering into uh, this type of consulting that I do now,
Hmm.
but it was the attraction was enough that after like 2 or 3 years of being in the space, I was like, you know what? I don't think I want this to just be my side thing anymore. I think I want to make it my full time job. So that's kind of how it went. In a very long winded answer.
Yeah. No, that's good, and it sounds like you were self aware of your motivation behind it, and you label it what it was. It was the beginning greed. You wanted to get some of the benefits of jumping on the train and everything, and now it's your full time job. So
Yeah.
it's good. But I'm curious though. So for the audiences that do not know much about it, I also don't know a lot about this.
Mhm.
Um, how does Web3 and blockchain and cryptocurrency come all together? I want to understand a little bit more of
Mhm.
that, and I guess how does that benefit us?
Right. So I'm going to start by maybe defining Web3 because I feel like that is like a term that has been like a buzzword that's been used a lot lately, and I don't know that maybe people necessarily understand what it is, but the way that I like to frame it so it was easy for me to understand is like how technology as far as like social networks or like just technology in general has evolved. let's
Hmm.
let's put it that way, how it has evolved. So like web 1, we're going to give it a name. Web 1 was like you can just read information on the internet. It's like throwback to like maybe a company having like an HTML really
Yes,
ugly like
HTML. Yeah. Okay,
yeah,
I understand that. Yes, and
yeah,
then Web 2 is when they became dynamic and you can interact
yeah.
with them. Right. Okay.
Then
Yes.
it's like I think uh things like websites like oh my god, like AOL is that what the name is? Like I don't know, you could like make MySpace, like all
Yeah.
in web too. Like, you were able to like read information, but then you were able to create information and then like put it out to the world for everyone else to see. Now the
Hmm.
problem with like web 2 is like the more successful platforms kind of like gathered all the wealth and then kind of like took control of of what things are being like shown as far as like creator content.
Yeah.
So let's say for example, like I think OnlyFans was um a good maybe like a good example of this. Like a lot of people who cater to this type of
Content.
entertainment
Hmm.
um went to this platform because that's kind of how they like I don't know, that was their like that was the platform that they selected to do this, maybe because the platform itself kind of like advertise itself as such, but then after making like a lot of like a substantial income on that, and people lived off this, and then OnlyFans will obviously, like, as a platform, probably made a lot of money too. And then as soon as, like, it became like a, like, no, like, this is like, this is too explicit, OnlyFans should not be for this or whatever, and they try to take off sexual content from their platform, like, they had massive backlash, and then they retracted the decision. But the point is that if they had gone through with it, they could have taken out the information of the users that originally made them the money. They could just delete your account, and it's the same with TikTok, it's the same with, like, a lot of the social media platforms. Like, you don't necessarily control or own that which you create.
Yeah.
You don't have a voice in the decisions of a platform
Yeah.
that you helped
Yeah.
make popular. You know,
It's in the fine print of everything we sign up for.
yeah, you sign away your
Yeah.
life.
Yeah.
So now the concept of Web3 is like taking out, like, basically decentralizing this power. So, like, the way
Okay.
that, like, a Twitter post summarized it is Web 1 was like read, Web 2 was like read and write, and then Web 3 was like read, write, and then own. So, like, by taking out intermediaries, whether it be from, like, let's say, social media or financial institution intermediaries that, like, generally control, is like a centralized power, right? Like,
Yeah.
if they decide to unplug you, you're done. But if
Yeah.
you decentralize this, there's no one single point of concentrated power that can necessarily be like, we're gonna do this without your input, and by the way, you're not getting money for it either.
Yeah.
Even, so that's kind of like an overview of Web 3, like a really, really high level overview of
Yeah.
Web 3,
No,
where, like,
that totally makes sense. That totally
yeah,
says that. It sounds like it's a kind of like data privacy, data ownership, and
yeah.
removing those powers from somebody else but you. But I
Hmm.
assume that it from just me thinking it's not that much different from what it's kind of like a way of officializing the black market in a way, because through the black market you can still do all these things that do not require, you can do exchange of information, money, or anything that is not platform dependent, and is through some of the means that they're on under the hood, nobody knows about. Obviously it's illegal, I guess, at this point.
Hmm.
But when it comes to decentralizing, it's essentially providing a way of people doing this exchange of information, doing this exchange of assets directly between the two different parties without any intermediary. Is that what?
Yes. So, like, the point of so I'm gonna backtrack and say that I'm not too familiar with the black market economics
Okay,
or market or
I
whatever.
just
So,
threw that in there. I don't know anything either. I just threw that out
yeah.
in there.
But the idea behind, let's say, like, a decentralized network, which is what
Hmm.
a lot of the blockchain cryptocurrencies are, like, Ethereum is
Hmm.
a decentralized network that runs on a
Yeah.
blockchain, and it's
Hmm.
decentralized because it's a blockchain.
Yes.
um a lot of the ideas behind it is just like, let's say, it's just they don't want you to, they want to make sure that there is a way for everyone to have a voice, even though, let's say, you were unfortunately born on the wrong sides of the border. Like, if we take Iran, for example, there's a lot of things that are happening in Iran that are, like, awful.
Yeah.
But, like, the idea behind it is, like, giving people a way in which they can participate and have a voice, regardless of the fact that you might have been, like, born within a country that has, like, a very restrictive government. So it's supposed to be
Yeah.
like censorship resistant as well. I'm not
Okay.
gonna say that there isn't, like, bad things that go on blockchain technology and cryptocurrency, because I'm sure that there are, and I'm pretty sure that,
Hmm.
there's a lot of scams, a lot of money laundering, a lot of
Yeah.
things that still needs to get improved. But, like, I don't think that should deter us from, like, moving forward into something that might be generally good for us. Like, I feel like initially, like, Bitcoin, which was the first, like, crypto to ever exist, was, like, actually like a response to the 2008 financial crisis, where, like, financial institutions with like no, they had a lot of leeway within the government. They didn't really have like regulations to hold them in place. And it's funny because a lot of the arguments that they have is just like, we have to protect investors and regular people from the dangers of blockchain technology. And it's just like, well, in 2008, you let like financial institutions basically crash the market, and like you like left a lot of people with like a housing crisis. So
Yeah, yeah, totally. No, that's good. Obviously, with every good thing, there's something on the side that not
yeah,
everything is perfect. You understand? So, I mean, I'm pretty sure that society as a whole will deal with that as those new technologies come out
yeah.
as well. But I'm
But like,
curious though. With oh, go ahead.
so my last thing is just like Bitcoin started as a response to that. So like it's just like a lot of people with a lot of like centralized power decided like not to control the banks, for example. And those are like super large intermediaries that like connect people to financial tools like loans, investments, banks, having a bank account, like, stuff like that, like whatever they say, it's what they say, and no one else, like the users, have a say in it. So the idea behind a blockchain technology, behind Bitcoin, is like we're not gonna let like just a regular, like not regular, like a centralized group of people like make decisions for everyone else. Like there should be like everyone has a say
Yeah,
in like the most general of terms. Yeah.
yeah. Good. Yeah, I support that. But I'm curious though. Obviously, you already walked us through your journey of learning about crypto, blockchain, Web3, all this good stuff. But you were a civil engineer before. So how did you go into switching a career and proving that you actually know something about that? Let's say when you apply online to a job, you had to show up a resume. What was your resume worth? Stuff
Mhm.
that represent that you knew anything about blockchain? Do you have like a portfolio? Did
Mhm.
you build something that can show that you have that sort of experience?
Yeah. So I'm lucky to have become interested in the space when I did, because this is a very new industry. So there's not like, I'm sure there is now. I haven't really looked into it, but it's not like you can just be like, I graduated from XYZ University as a blockchain like strategist or something
Hmm.
like that. Like a lot
Yeah.
of the learning that I did was very hands-on. Like I threw my own money in there, and I took the own risks, and I like took the lessons out of that.
Hmm.
But in a more general sense, like for anyone who's looking to, let's say, make a path or a career change, every skill is transferable. It's just a matter of how you frame it. Like, even though civil engineering is like completely different from tech consulting, I was still a consultant. I still manage certain things within projects that like I can take to the table and sell it to someone else. Like, for example, in civil engineering, in my previous company, I did a lot of coordination between teams. Where, let's say, the multi functional teams. Like, so there's like an architect, an MEP, which is like plumbing, electrical, and then whatever engineering. There was like a coastal engineer. There was a structural engineer. So like these are a lot of different disciplines that like need to come together to deliver an end product. And I did, like I said, I did a lot of the coordination for that, and that is a transferable skill anywhere you go, because you need to know how to work with people. And so you just have to frame it in a way. So like one of the things that I put on my resume is like, I have consulting experience. I manage like 5 different projects with like multifunctional teams, where I had to like make sure that everyone worked together to achieve a product end goal or like a deadline. And within that you have like time management, like soft social skills, like the understanding of a project life cycle, how the team works, like things that you would like, I sort of got anywhere that you go in corporate America, even if like I think a retail store, there will probably be some sort of like component where it's like, okay, ABC team is doing whatever, and you have to make sure that like XYZ team, the product that they have aligns with ours so we can put it out for consumers.
Yeah.
So I just think that it's like, you just have to think about how the skills that you have in your job apply to whatever other position that you are trying to apply, and really like really try to sell yourself on that end. Like
Hmm.
there's a lot of like metrics that you can use. I think companies really like numbers or achievements. Like one of the things that I said for my just my own like blockchain shenanigans, I was like, I invested in like 8 cryptocurrencies and I had a return on investment of like, I can't remember the numbers exactly, like 300% or something. And then I also told them, but I also had some investments that were like negative. I lost money. Like you just have to sell them the fact that what you're talking about is not a problem if it's a different, completely different field. Because like in my interviews with my current company, I was like, it sounds like what you need for this role is what I already do. Like I do research on this, I like analyze the risks, and then I decide based on like I make an intelligent decision based on that, is if I want to invest it or not. So
Hmm.
if you can just show them that you have the skills required and that you understand the role, and it sounds like I'm the great fit for it because I got it, you'll probably be okay. But that being said, like I said, I was lucky enough where like something like I just did my own thing online, and like I flipped NFTs and I like traded crypto and I did a lot of things by myself.
Hmm.
I did have a portfolio for it. It's always good to have like something that backs that up.
Yeah.
For other career changes, maybe that's a certification, maybe that's a course you did, maybe that's like some volunteer work. You know what I mean? It's so much easier to like make a career switch, which I'm not saying is easy. It takes some time, but it's much easier if you have some sort of proof to back up your claim, whether that's in
Yeah.
a portfolio, a certification. All of them actually would be great. Um, but that's kind of how I did it. Yeah.
Yeah. All that's really great. You mentioned really great points, and
Yeah.
yeah, every few has transferable skills in communication, leadership, management. Those are
Mhm.
three skills right there that you can leverage in any field. And I'm pretty sure that you took advantage of that. And I'm glad that you're bringing that up
Mhm.
to our attention as well, because
Mhm.
we often think, we have mental barriers. Whenever we want to switch a field, we want to switch even a job in the same field. We always think about the things that we don't have. Like, okay, yeah, I don't know anything about blockchain. I don't know anything about portfolio and blockchain technology and whatnot. But instead, if we, have an abundance mindset and highlight all of the things that we actually have right now that can bring to the table and, focus on those things, bring it up, frame it pretty well, we actually have a fair shot, and then anything else can be learned on the job. No job has zero learning curve. Like there's no
Yeah.
way if you switch to another job where you know everything about that job, then you're setting up yourself for a very boring experience. If you don't
Hmm.
have anything that you have to learn or grow into, then you're not going to have a sense of growth a year later or 2 years into the position. So if there's a steep learning curve, is actually a great thing. If you have a fair shot,
Hmm.
you get to learn something completely different and challenge yourself to grow into being more of an indispensable person. So I'm glad that you brought that up. But I'm curious though. Obviously, you did a lot of stuff in the past couple months or years preparing yourself for this career change while working as a full-time employee, plus pandemic, plus relationships, plus your health and everything. How do you balance all those things at the same time? Because I think one thing that uh, professionals find it really hard to deal with is the concept of time and how we have family at home, or perhaps we have a
Hmm.
full-time job. How do we make up the time to actually work something on the side that will prepare us for a career change, or perhaps just a career a job change from the same industry? How do we handle all these things, all these responsibilities that you have?
It's not easy. I will acknowledge that everyone who's feeling stressed, you have valid reasons to feel stressed. And I don't, for me personally, I don't know how other people do it, but I pick, like, you know how, like, we have, like, quarterly fiscal year cycles, like quarter one, quarter two, quarter whatever. Divide your life up into, maybe not quarters, but pick something like like a 3 to 4 period chunk of time, and then dedicate that to whatever it is that you want to work on next, because you can't do everything. You really, it's just not possible. We're only human. Sorry, like, we only have 24 hours, and I rather, like, not be, like, sleep deprived and, like, fucking upset, you know. So, for example, I love to work out, I love to train, I like to also party, I like to go out, there's some things, and you obviously have family, but there's some things that you're gonna have to, like, let
Sacrifice.
sacrifice. Yeah, I'm not saying let it go completely, but there's definitely, like, something that you have to prioritize within that 3 to 4 month chunk of time that you were gonna work on. So, like, when the market was still hot, and, like, everything was, like, going to the moon, like, I was heavily focused on NFTs and cryptocurrency. That did mean I did go less to the gym and to Thai boxing and to all the other things that made me happy. But I was like, I was like, this is where I want to focus my time, because it just makes sense to me. This is where I can make the more money, the more experience. This is where I'm learning a lot. And, it sucks, but, I'm not going to be able to do it. I'm not going to be able to do it both, because I can't have a job. And then, my cryptocurrency, like, venture shenanigans, like, curiosity sprees, they take time. People think it's easy, but it's not. Like, this is like learning a new thing takes time. So I just
Yeah.
didn't have the bandwidth to, like, do all of the things. So something has to get sacrificed.
Yeah.
At that point, it was like, my gym time. But then after the market stopped cooling down, things, like, in general, like, we were having, like, kind of like a bear market situation. In general, we still are. I started going back into the gym a lot more. I was like, I'm really gonna make up to it now. And then, I got myself into an amateur fight, my first amateur fight, and I was like, well, now for the next month or two, I'm gonna be doing Thai boxing specifically. And, that was around the time that I wanted to also change jobs, but I, like, I don't know. In this, I was like, I didn't like the job that I was in, but I was like, it pays the bills,
Yeah.
And it's like, this fight is like maybe 1 or 2 months. Like, I can, this is fine. I'll wait 1 or 2 months until I can actually start. Like, I was in the process of, but it wasn't, like, super fast forward in my mind to, like, do it. And so then after the fight, I started to, like, look for my job. So, like, maybe the crypto thing was like, and I'm not saying divide them into, like, equal parts, because some things are not, like, there's some things that will take longer times than others. Like, me learning cryptocurrency maybe took, like, 6 months, like, really learning it, or, like, flipping FTs, like, 3 to 6 months. The
Mhm.
fight, like, it was like a 3.5 week of a fight camp, and then I went to fight someone. Like, that. That was a smaller time frame. And then I was like, I want to find a job now. Like, I did it. I crossed this off my bucket list, and, that took me. Finding a job took me, like, maybe 2 or 3 months.
Mhm,
Yeah.
mhm.
So you see, there's different, like, it's still a chunk of time to one activity, but it doesn't mean that it's the same amount of time dedicated to something.
Yeah. No, yeah,
Yeah.
that totally makes sense. To this day, I still can't wrap my head around that you were fighting. Like, I knew you were the type of person to go out of your comfort zone in so
Yeah.
many things, but in my life, ever in my life, would I think that you will be fighting on an actual, like, boxing ring or something, and you
Me
have people
either. But,
cheering
like,
you up and everything. That was so cool
I,
when I
I,
saw
I
the
was
video.
really, I think I'm gonna do another one. Probably, I was aiming for December, but, like I told you, my mom got her residency,
Yeah.
and so December might just be like, hi, I have to reconnect with. Well, I haven't been to Ecuador in, like, 16 years. My mom hasn't been to Ecuador in, like, 16 years. It feels like
Mm,
that month might not be the best to do it, but I think there's one in
yeah.
February. So then I'm gonna, like, try to train for that. But, like, that's what I mean. But, like, time frames is like, you just it's good to get like a high level picture and then just break it down in chunks and then be
Yeah.
like, this is what I'm gonna do. This is what is gonna be my focus for the next like 3 to 6 months.
Hmm. Hmm.
Because if you try to do all the things all at once, you're just gonna not do anything. You're gonna be tired and sad.
Yeah. Totally. No, that's it's good I bring it up. It's good to focus on something for a couple of weeks, a couple of months. Anything else can wait, especially
Mhm.
relationships. I remember when I was studying for the PE, it's one of those things that you have to do. I was really, you probably know, I didn't hang out with you for how
Yeah, you
long.
were
And
struggling.
I was really into it because I just really wanted to get it done and
Hmm.
move forward. And then after that, I reconnected with all my friends. I was
Hmm.
really upfront with them, like, "Hey, don't take it personal. It's just like I'm going through this. I'm doing this for my career." And everybody understood, and even my family as well. And after that, we celebrated that.
Hmm.
I passed, and it was really good. I just reconnected back. So
I feel
yeah,
like the mental block for people is like it's not fun. It's not fun. You want to go hang out with your friends. You want to be with your family. Like, you have to like be very disciplined about the fact that you're saying no to something that would give you instant gratification.
yeah,
It's hard. It's hard,
yeah.
like
When you're doing that alone as well, it makes it
yeah,
even
and you're
harder.
doing it alone, like it's not like and you have to be your best motivator because there is no one who's like, you have to want to do this for yourself and for the future you, and your future you will congratulate you and thank you, but there's necessarily speaking, there's no one being like, you got to do this, you got to, like
Mhm. Like in
it's very
school
much
or
up to
something.
you.
Yeah.
Yeah, or because it's cool. Like you have to be very like you have to like it's hard to get past that mentality. It was like, damn, I really like I would like to be pumpkin patch picking right now, but like, you know,
It's
this is
fall
what
season.
this is either a business that I really want to go into or this is something that I really want to learn and like you just I don't know how to sometimes you're gonna fail, sometimes you're gonna like bail and you're gonna go and do the thing you wanted to do, and that's okay so long as not it's not like a reoccurring theme, and then because
Hmm.
then you push it back. That's what you're doing, you're pushing it back. So it's not even like about willpower. There's even for the gym, bro, there's days that I don't want to go, but it's discipline at that point.
It is,
And
yeah,
sometimes I don't go to Thai boxing, but I go to the freaking gym to run. Like there will be an activity that I will do today, even though I don't feel like it.
yeah,
You
totally.
know? Yeah.
That's good. No, this has really been great, Sophia. I truly
Mhm.
appreciate your openness about everything. Do you read any books? Do you listen to any podcasts that you would want to recommend to the
Um,
audience?
the one podcast that is really great that I love dearly is The School of Greatness by Lewis Howes. He
Ah, love, love, love,
so
love, love,
much
love
thing.
that
He's
guy.
such a great like he's an awesome guy. He like gives such valuable information. Like his information ranges like from how to benefit from the stock market crash to like how food affects the gut, like the gut in your bacteria, and that affects your mood and how that's gonna like help you live or die younger, like so it's like super broad, but it's like
No,
it's
yeah,
great because it has a lot of things.
anything in the self-help uh, area that's where he touches on. I don't know if you read his book as well.
I didn't read the book.
Yeah, the book is that's how I got to learn about him, the School of
Mm.
Greatness. And after that, I realized he had podcasts. So I listened to him really often. But also Shetty, love, love, love that
Never heard
dude as
that one
well.
then.
Jay Shetty is almost the same thing as
How do you
Lewis
write that?
House, but
J.
he has really great content on the self help area, and he goes really broad, like you just mentioned.
Yeah.
So definitely, it's worth
Mhm.
a listen to as well, or even watch because they do YouTube podcasts now.
Yeah.
So you can
Send me that
definitely.
guy. I love the self-help area, and it's just I like that I can pick up from like a different, like whatever I feel like at that moment.
No,
There's
yeah,
a
for sure.
book that I have that I actually got from Lewis Howes that like
An interview with
an
somebody else.
interview with this. She's called Vanessa Van Edwards, and it's called Cues.
Hold on, I
Yeah,
don't have the book right here. Let me see. I
master.
love Vanessa. Let me see if I can find
Yeah,
book. Love, love, love Vanessa. So I have her other book. I actually have that book as well, but
it's
I
so
have
good.
her other book called Captivate.
Oh yeah, I haven't read that one.
I think Q's came after Captivate. So we
Really?
literally
Okay.
listen to the same people. We read to the same people. It's
Great
kind of funny.
minds.
I love it because Captivate has it's crazy how the science of people. That's her website. It's
Yeah,
crazy
the
how
science of
everything is
people.
a science. Like
Yeah.
in her book on Captivate, she talks about even like what are the best locations in a networking event, just stand up and network with people.
That's
Like
crazy.
I didn't really think that that could be like an issue or something. So she
Yeah.
talks about never stay by the entrance, never stay by the bathrooms, never stay before the line, by the line where you go to the bar station or something. And then
Hmm.
she talks like she shows a plan and as a graphic about where different things are, the coat check, the welcome, the restroom, the bar, and she points out locations on plan of where you should stand
Yeah,
for
she
you
has
to
it
have
down
the
to a
greatest.
science. That's crazy.
Yeah, I know. It's really cool. It's really interesting, and she's just so great to listen to. I don't know if you've seen her
Hmm.
videos as well on
I
YouTube
have
and
on
her
YouTube.
talks and everything. She's just like such a great person to listen to, and she has an amazing
Hmm.
story because she's herself an introvert and
Yes.
to realize that the power of connections and the power of networking and she's worked on everything that makes that ability to develop connections well with people seamless and
Hmm.
I literally love all her content so I'm glad that you brought
Yeah.
that up so yeah Q's is a great book
She
I
is a
can't wait
great
to read
book.
it
Definitely recommend.
I have it as well as my shelf and then yeah School of Greatness is a great book and then
Yeah.
the Lewis House podcast as well so I'm glad that you brought that up but yeah great to talk to you
Funny,
Sophia do you
that
have huh
sorry, one more. The book that I think you gave oh my god, I can't believe I'm blanking on her name.
Good
Nadine.
book.
The book that you
Nadine.
gave Nadine. She
Oh,
gave
Ramit Sethi.
yeah.
Yeah, the what's I'll teach you
I
to be
will teach you to
rich.
be rich. Yeah.
Yeah. No, that's also a
A
awesome read. I
really good
actually discover Lewis House and Ramit Sethi about the same time because I think one of them references the other in their book. And that's how I got to learn about Ramit Sethi as well for
hmm
personal finance and uh, awesome dude as well. He's taught me
yeah.
everything I know about credit cards,
Yeah.
investing. Yeah,
And like I feel like he's like the crash course of like, hey, here's how to be an adult and you're not gonna get fucked over. Like have a
literally
savings
that.
account, have like 3 to 6 months of savings, be
Yeah,
smart with your credit cards. Like no one teaches you these things. Is I
yeah,
don't even think
especially
about like teaching you to be rich is like basic wealth management,
uh, for
Yeah.
sure. And coming from immigrant families and everything, like all I learned from my family is like just pay your credit cards on time, but doesn't
Yo,
mean like
for
pay your
real.
balance or pay the minimum or anything. Like just make a payment every month. That's all you need to know
Yeah.
about credit cards.
Yeah.
And through his book, I realized that you lose thousands of dollars by doing the minimum payment every month or anything
That's
like
how
that.
they
His
get
book
you.
taught me everything that I know about personal finance. And
Yeah. Really good
that's,
book.
yeah. But yeah, it's been great to talk to you, Sophia. Do you
Mm.
have any final word, any advice for the audience that may perhaps be thinking about switching careers? Like, what is the first step that you recommend they do?
Um, I think always, and this is gonna take some um soul searching maybe. And I'm not saying that I did it. I'm saying in retrospect, like
Yeah. Hmm.
I think it's always good to have. Why are you doing this? Are you just reacting to your current like circumstances, or are you doing this because you really want to? It's not I'm not saying that it might be necessarily bad to react to maybe some circumstances that are negative in your life, um, because it's one of those things that does get you to maybe get out of a bad situation or an unhappy situation or just something that you're not with. But at the end of the day, it might not bring you the most happiness because you don't know why you did it. So I think that if you're trying to, and a career change is like, it's pretty big, especially if you're going into something that's completely different. You just have to take some time to like really think about why you want to do it, and if the reason that you want to do it is because of like, I'm gonna be happier here, or it just makes more strategic sense for me to advance this way in life. Like, I think I will be less. I will think of that this move will make me more financially stable or whatever, but it's not necessarily the happiest thing that would the thing that would make me the happiest. It's just,
Yeah.
it's good to be aware of why you're doing the career change or why you're doing what you're doing, because otherwise, like, you're gonna do it, you're gonna get the new job. Let's say you wanted to go into tech, and there's
Hmm.
boot camps out there for now, and some of them like range from like 5 to like 20K dollars, and if I'm not like, one of the best things you can do is invest in yourself. But like, if then the investment ends up not being what you wanted, you're gonna feel crappy because you're like, damn, like, why did I just put down like 15K, and I got the job and this and that, but then I hate it.
Hmm.
But if you go in with the like, yes, I'm gonna go into tech, this is what I love, or yes, I'm gonna go into tech, and this is not necessarily down my alley, but I recognize that it will help me move to the next step that I really want to go in, then you're gonna feel like better about what you did. Because you just
Hmm.
like, if you just do it because you're doing it and you know why the hell you're doing it, you're gonna feel some type of way.
Yeah. Hmm.
So I feel like that would be my biggest advice. Because
No.
once you know why you're doing what you're doing, you can get a plan, and
Yeah.
everything will be much clearer.
That's great you mentioned that. I would like to add that it's important to go through that soul search, that self awareness
Hmm.
journey, because that's what's going to keep you motivated when you're going
Hmm.
through all these changes. You want to keep in the back of your mind all the time why you're doing this, why you are making these changes, why you're going this journey that is it's a lonely journey, and you need
It's a
something to
hard one.
motivate you. Yeah, it's a really hard one. So I'm glad that you brought that up, and you don't have to have everything figured out.
Yeah.
You can do some trial and error, try different things here. Just because something doesn't work, it's great. It's great that you get that feedback that something doesn't work or something's not good for you, because then you don't put more effort and time
Exactly.
into a career path that you perhaps are not going to enjoy. So
Yeah.
take that as a blessing that you get that instant feedback when you say, "Hey, I'm actually learning this. I don't enjoy this. I don't see myself doing this full time." That's great feedback, because then you don't go
Hmm.
into a field, blind into something that you perhaps are not going to enjoy after making so much investments in terms of time and money.
Hmm.
So,
Yeah.
Sophia,
And
it's been.
don't be
Oh,
afraid
go
of,
ahead, go.
sorry, last thing, don't be afraid of failures either. Like, that could be like something that someone be like, dang, I just kind of put in some effort into this and then I didn't like it. It
Yeah,
could be categorized as a failure, but like you said, it's like a feedback. And even if it was a failure, you're learning something about it.
yeah,
So it's your tuition.
yeah.
Yeah.
Great. Well said. Well said. Sophia, it's been great to have you at the Neutral Access Club. I really appreciate your time, your honesty today. I hope to see you in the future again. So
Yeah,
I'll
for
see you
sure.
next time.
If you enjoyed this interview, make sure to hit the like button and leave a comment down below with your favorite part of this interview. And don't forget to subscribe to the Neutral Access Club for other similar content. Thank you for watching. See you next time.